Well, I don't think there's much in the way of negotiation. I think Zelensky and the circle of people that surround him have decided that they're going to fight to the last Ukrainian. I don't think Zelensky is interested in any form of compromise on anything. And that's one of the reasons that from the very beginning, when President Trump suggested a ceasefire, Putin wasn't going to do it, because he said all you're doing is creating opportunity for the Ukrainians to rearm, re-equip, and renew the war. And so it's unsurprising that negotiations, frankly, haven't gone anywhere. I don't think they will.
If you want a ceasefire, just to continue supply arms to Ukraine,
right.
So what is your purpose? You know what Kaja Kallas and what's his name, Mark Rutte said about the
NATO
ceasefire.
Secretary General and the European Union.
They bluntly stated that they can support only the deal which at the end of the day will make Ukraine stronger, would make Ukraine a victor. So if this is the purpose of the ceasefire, I don't think this is what President Trump wants. This is what Europeans, together with Zelensky, want to make out of President Trump's initiative.
Foreign Minister Lavrov is correct. And I don't think, frankly, President Trump should have involved himself at all. You know, from the very beginning, I've urged him to say, look, it's not my war. I didn't start it. I didn't want it. I'm ending any further support to this regime in Kiev. They must negotiate an end to this war. And then I'm removing everybody who is in Ukraine, who's an American. I'm getting them out. He didn't do that because people surrounding him said, listen, Mr. President, if you do that, they'll accuse you of losing Ukraine. You know, another refrain of this, who lost China back in the 1950s. That's all nonsense. Ukraine was never ours to use. We brutalized it. We misused it. We tried to use it for all the wrong purposes, everything from biolabs and genetic engineering to every conceivable form of weaponry that could be used to kill Russians. It's a disgrace. It's Zelensky that's misled him at every turn and shown him extraordinary disrespect. Whatever Russia has gained on the ground and decides to hold cannot be changed. The real issue is, what are we going to do about it? And what he should have said is, the United States is not going to be a co-belligerent, and we are not promising to intervene in this conflict in order to drive the Russians back from whatever they've taken. What the Russians have won on the battlefield is theirs. It's a fact. And that's the end of it. I mean, at the end of World War II in the spring, very few people realize it. But Churchill and to a lesser extent FDR were both horrified because the Russians at that time, the Soviets, had gotten far further, far faster, thanks to us, frankly, than ever thought possible. And Churchill said, what's to stop the Soviets from marching all the way to Paris? Well, ultimately, Stalin couldn't do that because they were just about exhausted by the time they reached Germany. But the point is, there was nothing that could be done about what the Russians seized. And so the reason for the war, if we go back to the beginning of the Second World War, was supposedly the sovereignty and freedom of Poland. And what happened? It became a Russian satellite. It was crushed, and everybody refused to state anything about it. But the truth was, how do we change it? You've got several million Soviet troops on the ground. They're there, they're not leaving, and we're not prepared to go to war to change it. And the truth is, the Russians now hold territory. And what are we supposed to do about it? The only thing we can do is pressure the Ukrainians to stop fighting on the very good grounds, moral grounds, in my judgment, that President Trump mentioned early on, that they are going to be slaughtered if they don't stop. And remember, that was the message I sent to him in April of 2022. And I was told, well, everyone at Mar-a-Lago thinks the Ukrainians are winning and they're going to defeat the Russians, and the Russians are incompetent. I said, no, it'll never happen. The Russians will crush these people. Well, here we are. He's now found that out, and he's learned it the hard way. We can't change that. The only thing that we can do is bring a maximum amount of pressure on Zelensky to stop fighting, to spare the millions of people who are west of the Dnieper River from any more war. That's what we should be about. That's what Zelensky should be interested in. He's not. But President Putin, from the very beginning, has made it clear that he wants to avoid a war with us. And that has been a source of discomfort for many in the general staff as well as others in his country. who are very angry with us. They understand exactly what we've done. They know what we have done. We've done everything in our power to destroy that country. And he has absolutely overruled it. He has listened to President Trump. He has tried to explain things to President Trump. I think President Trump has understood some of it, but I don't think he has a true picture of the reality on the ground. Just as people in Washington don't have a true picture of reality strategically right now. They don't understand it's not 1991. We do not have the conventional military power that we did 30 years ago. We've fallen behind. We're in no position to fight a war. And this kind of thing has not sunk in with key people. I mean, yesterday, I think it was Senator Kennedy from Louisiana made the remarkably stupid comment that we should turn the Russians into fish food. What?
He has disrespected our president. I don't think it's going to get any better until we make it clear to Mr. Putin that we are willing to turn him and his country into fish food.